Late, during the reign of King Aegon V Targaryen, news reached King's Landing that the so-called Band of Nine had come together under the Tree of Crowns. The Band of Nine was born when 9 outlaws, exiles, pirates, and sail-sword captains met beneath the Tree of Crowns as to form an alliance, swearing to aid each other in conquering kingdoms for each of the 9 members. They began their conquests by overrunning the disputed lands and sacking Tyrosh, where they set up Alaquodares as a tyrant. They then marched on the Stepstones, conquering them with ease. Among the Band of Nine was Maelys Blackfyre, better known as Maelys the Monstrous, the last of the Blackfyre Pretenders, who had won the command of the Golden Company by killing his cousin Daemon a few years before. His desired kingdom was the Seven Kingdoms. Maelys had a grotesquely huge torso and arms. His skull was huge and malformed, and he had a second head sprouting from his neck, about the size of a child's fist. He was inhumanly strong, able to kill a Destria with a single punch, and tear a man's head clean off his shoulders. He was named Maelys the Monstrous for his grotesque body, fearsome strength, and savage nature. While it was generally believed that the Band of Nine would founder in Essos, they managed to sack and take Tyrosh and seize the Stepstones, which made them a real threat to Westeros. Maelys declared himself to be King Maelys Blackfyre, first of his name. When the Iron Throne heard of these events, Prince Duncan Targaryen famously quipped that crowns were being sold 9 a penny, and afterwards the Band of Nine became known in the Seven Kingdoms as the Ninepenny Kings. Most men, including King Aegon, thought that no threat was posed by these pretenders. Nonetheless, preparations were made to make sure the Blackfyres could not land on Westerosi soil. King Jaehaerys II, Targaryen, who had succeeded his father upon the Iron Throne in 259 AC, recognized the threat the Band of Nine posed and sent a large force to the Stepstones, bringing the war to the Band of Nine. The king wished to personally take command of his forces, but was persuaded otherwise by his hand, Lord Aemond Baratheon. Lord Aemond took command of the Targaryen army instead. The task force included a fleet of 100 longships led by Quellan Greyjoy, Lord of the Iron Islands, and a force of 1,000 knights and 10,000 men-at-arms, sent by Lord Tytos Lannister from the Westerlands, under the leadership of his younger brother, Sir Jason Lannister. House Martell sent spears from Dorne. Many young knights and lords fought in this war, including Stefan Baratheon, heir to the Stormlands, Brynden Tully, the Blackfish, Tywin Lannister, the heir to Casterly Rock, and his brother Kevan, and Aerys Targaryen, the heir to the Iron Throne. When the Targaryen host landed upon the Stepstones in 260 AC, the fighting began in earnest on land and sea, and lasted for most of the year. Lord Aemond Baratheon was one of the first to be killed, struck down by Maelys Blackfyre, and died in the arms of his son, Stefan. Command then passed to Gerald Hightower, Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. After Sir Jason Lannister was killed on Bloodstone, Lord Roger Reyne led the remaining Westermen to several victories. Then came Sir Barristan Selmy. An eminently successful tourney knight throughout his career, Barristan also proved his worth on the battlefield. Barristan cut a bloody path through the Golden Company to reach Maelys. Then Barristan slew Maelys the Monstrous in single combat, ending the male line of the Blackfyre Pretenders. The remaining members of the Band of Nine had little to no interest in conquering Westeros, and soon returned to their own domain. With Aemond Baratheon slain, Stefan Baratheon became the new Lord of Storm's End. He remained close friends with both Prince Aerys Targaryen and Sir Tywin Lannister. Tywin, himself a new-made knight, received the honor of giving Prince Aerys his spurs after fighting gallantly in the war. Tywin became bitter and hardened, particularly against his ineffectual father Tytos, who had not taken part in the war, rather remaining at home with his mistress. These tensions soon erupted in the Riotatttherite revolt. Lord Hoster Tully became acquainted with Lord Baelish during the war, where they fought side by side. Lord Baelish did a service for Hoster, which was later repaid when Hoster accepted to take Baelish's son Peter as a ward in Riverrun. Jon Arryn also became acquainted with Lord Rickard Stark of Winterfell and Lord Stefan Baratheon of Storm's End, which resulted several years later in Jon taking their sons, Eddard Stark and Robert Baratheon, as his wards at the Eyrie. The Blackfyres were extinguished in the male line thanks to Sir Barristan Selmy. When the next opening presented itself, Barristan was named to the Kingsguard. In joining the Kingsguard, he gave up the claim to his family seat and the girl he was to wed. Although it is not called so in the books, this conflict has often been referred to as the Fifth Blackfyre Rebellion by the fandom, since Maelys was the fifth and last Blackfyre Pretender. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Game of Thrones history-based content.